veins. Flex Friday, baby.
There we go.
Time to go. I'm going to tag everyone in here.
Coach Ryan and Coach Shiny Rachel today. I was telling Ryan before we got on, like, I don't know, the makeup lady did not do me justice this morning.
I think you're doing great. I think, like I said before, you are glowing.
Glowing. Yeah. I mean,
like
I did get a good workout in this morning, but I did shower as well. So who knows what that's
I did shower, I promise.
Well, not that you can smell, so it doesn't really matter. So it's all good.
So really looking forward to this right now. You'll notice the title, right? How Not to Die. And then like also How Not to Diet. There's two books that you've read recently that we're going to talk about just a portion of them. The first one is called How Not to Die.
And it's very thick, so there's so much information in here. And then,
a lot of information. Yes. And the second one is How Not to Diet. So in the same vein, I'll let you take it. What do you want to talk about today? What was some of your biggest takeaways from either book? We'll start there.
Yeah, I think, and he talks about it, is Dr. Michael Greger. He talks, there's so much information in How Not to Die. He gives like a list of, here are, I think it's 9 things that if you include in your diet, that you'll get all the nutrients and all the things that you need in order for longevity. So the first one was really about longevity. So, and I'm not going to go into most of them, but one of the things that was in there was about fiber. So he talked a lot about fiber in that
one
book.
Of the 9 things.
That was one of the 9 things. Seriously, I've been trying to do now all the 9 things. And if you get all of the 9 things in, like there's no room for much else in terms of food, in terms of like if you're going to stay in your caloric thing. You know, he talks about turmeric and ginger, so for anti-inflammatory stuff. He talks about fiber. He talks about plant-based foods. He talks about a lot of stuff. So at some point we can go into that. But in How Not to Diet, it is fascinating. And I'm just kind of trying to get through some of it right now. But one of the things is fiber. I mean, so fiber, clearly there are lots of overlaps between longevity and losing weight, right?
Yes.
But the thing I thought today, that I know fiber isn't always like the most sexy topic to talk about because it's a little boring, but there were 4 things, and this is just a smidgen of even what he talks about fiber, but 4 things that eating more fiber can help you lose weight without really trying. Because he talks about calories aren't all the same. They just aren't all the same.
Sure.
The things about fiber. So the first one is if you eat high fiber foods, it essentially just crowds out other stuff, right? So if you eat something that one takes longer to chew, right? Then you're gonna so if, let's say it's an apple. You could drink apple juice or you could eat an apple. It's going to take you longer to eat the apple. So it's just going to crowd out other things because you're just you're going to get tired of chewing and you're just not going to have as much time, right?
Not to mention too, I've heard before an experience when you chew, you have longer time for the signals in your stomach to go up to your brain and say, hey, I'm full. I don't need any more.
Yeah. He also talks about, and especially about apples, but this comes with other foods too, but there's something special about apples, that the pectin in the skin of apples, actually, it's the pectin that when you're making jams and jellies, creates that jelly-ish substance. Well, the pectin is doing the same thing then in your stomach and in your intestines. And so it expands. And so it creates that kind of gel-like stuff. And so again, filling up the intestines, filling up your stomach, making you feel full longer.
Yes.
So
very cool.
That's the first thing. So it crowds out other calories.
Yes.
That's easy.
Yes.
The second one then, it doesn't allow other calories to be absorbed.
Yes.
So here's an example. He uses apples again, but so let's say you're eating an apple and peanut butter. So if you eat the apple and the peanut butter together, the apple is going to create that jelly stuff, but the fiber is going to surround the peanut butter as it's going through your intestines. And it's not going to allow that peanut butter to get coated on the outside of the intestines, which is where the calories get absorbed. So you're going to not absorb all of the calories from that peanut butter if you eat it with an apple.
Interesting, huh?
I know. So, because he said the same thing, if you drink apple juice and eat an apple, the apple juice is just going to get absorbed right away. And so it's not going to coat the peanut butter. So then the peanut butter is going to go down in your intestines, coat the walls of your intestines, and all of the calories from the peanut butter will be absorbed.
Huh.
I mean, they've done studies. I mean, they've done studies on, which I don't need to do fecal matter studies, but they've done all sorts of like studies on that. So he cites, I mean, seriously, the book is like this thick. And like, I think the last like chapter is all of the citations. So really well researched.
Very
but
interesting.
That was kind of cool. I mean, so that
that's extremely cool.
How the peanut butter gets, well, again, in that example, gets absorbed. So you're eating the same amount of calories, maybe, but you're absorbing more of the calories if you don't have the fiber.
Yeah. I love this for a lot of reasons. One of the main ones is, one of the philosophies we follow is increase, don't decrease, right? If we're really looking to create an action plan that we feel pulled towards and that we don't need willpower to do, we have to eliminate pain, right? So instead of saying, I can't eat this, I can't eat that, and in our head, right, the space between our two ears, we feel deprived, that inner rebel wants to come out. And when it does, it's hard to put back in the box sometimes. So just passing that all together and just saying, no, I'm just increasing my fiber. So I've increased my protein. Now I'm increasing my fiber intake. I like it. I'd be curious to know too, what are some of your favorite ways to get fiber in? But I don't know.
Mine personally, I mean, we can go. I mean, fruits and vegetables for sure. For sure. I'm a big proponent, and now even more a big proponent of beans. I was before, but now like reading How Not to Die and How Not to Diet, I am having at least a half a cup of some kind of random beans with, every, like not every meal, but every day. Because that's one of the things. And then I love overnight oats. So I'm a big oatmeal person. And again, he talks about grain, like whole grains.
Yeah, sure.
So whole grains and beans, and then fruits and vegetables. Those are my favorite. What are yours?
So it's funny, the beans, my wife's Brazilian, so she's like rice and beans, loves it, and I've been going to Chipotle for years and I always get the beans, but I probably eat beans now every night, just half cup. Yeah, small amount. Like what I've been doing as of late, and I say as of late, like in the last few years, is instead of going deep and only having like two things. So like I used to be the king of chicken and rice, and that's a crown I was happy to give up. Correct. Like I'm still recovering PTSD from eating 8 eggs a day every morning in my high school and early college years. Like, I'll have it like one on avocado toast, but that's my limit. But we're now, to your point too, talking about like these 7 things. It's like I've heard 6 things, which I can always talk about those after as well, but I really want to hear about the fiber. But I just try to have like 10 different micronutrient sources at a meal. And I just have like a little of each because like they're micronutrients, you don't need a lot of them. So you don't like, the body doesn't work where we can eat, a pound of spinach and be like, I'm good for 30 days. It's like, you gotta have like, it's not necessarily every day, but it's a lot easier for me habitually to just have a little bit every day than have like, I'll say 3 times the amount every 3 days, it's just harder for me. I like daily stuff.
I heard something somewhere that you're supposed to have 25 different types of like plant-based foods like throughout the week. So that to rotate all of those things. So it just speaks exactly to what you're saying. Just have a little bit of a lot of different things. And so either at one meal or like for the beans example, I am a huge garbanzo bean fan, but I'm trying to I bought some kidney beans, I bought some black beans, I bought some of those, other beans so that I'm, and edamame, putting that in there as well, trying to switch it up a little bit.
Okay. That makes sense. So, all right. So just to recap for people just joining in. So we got fiber.
So the first one was, it crowds out other calories. So it's just it's just gonna make you feel full. One, and then the second one was it doesn't allow other calories to get absorbed, or not as many of the other calories to get absorbed, because it's gonna surround the other calories and pull it through the intestines. And it's getting to the outer walls of those intestines is where you are absorbing the calories.
Okay, I like that. I'm just putting that here
Um,
too, so people can see it.
yeah,
That is very interesting, right? It goes, it's like, how can I say this? So I'm not obviously a scientist, but I dabble, and I love reading scientific studies to continue my education. And fundamentally, there is this idea of calories in, calories out, right? Like
yeah,
just eating a caloric deficit. However, there are a lot of nuances to this. But if you're a beginner, we don't start there. It's not always great to be so, into the minutia. But if you are on your journey and you are kind of looking for that next level or just a little bit more nuance, this is it. So that's cool.
yeah. And
I
he
like
talks about that. I mean, he does say at the beginning, it is calories in, calories out. It's just that there are some of those percentages of our bodies do use, like, garbanzo beans different than, a Snickers bar. So,
Yeah.
if we want to get into that next level or those levels down. So I have two more. So I have four today.
Right.
So two
Hit
more.
me. What's next?
Number 3, it makes you feel full longer. And that is because, again, because it has more mass, that there is this thing, and he talks about it, putting on the brakes to eating, but there actually is something in your intestines called the allele brake. Not that you really need to know that, but if there is undigested food in your intestines, which that's what fiber is, because it doesn't digest, it just kind of goes all the way through you. So if there's undigested food in your intestines, then that is the signal to your brain that you're full.
Huh.
Yeah. So if it gets down to that piece of it, and so, unfortunately, because I suppose the medical society isn't going to make money because there are drugs that will do the same thing.
Sure.
But fiber, which in a much safer way, then helps you. That's how you're feeling full longer, because there's this mechanism that if there's undigested food, that's going to send that signal to your brain. So
Wow. Interesting. I
know.
like that.
Who knew? Put the brakes on.
What's number 4?
Number 4 is, and I thought this was really interesting, and I didn't ever think about this until I read the book, that it takes more effort for your intestines to digest the fiber. So you're getting a workout, but it's the same workout as if you would go to the gym and work your biceps.
It's just
Right.
for your intestines.
Your intestines are doing work. Your intestines are actually doing work. And so the same mechanism so you're actually burning some calories. I mean, not a lot. And again, this isn't like, that isn't the whole
Right.
thing.
It's not to burn fat. Right.
But it is working. So your intestines are actually working just like your biceps are working, to contract, to try to, one, move that undigested stuff and to digest the fiber. So you are getting a little bit of a benefit of a workout from your intestines. I'm like,
Well, yeah, see,
okay.
that's interesting. That's something I have not thought of. So like, I think of, obviously we think of muscles, and then we can bring that to like smooth muscle, like your heart. Like,
Yeah.
okay, we want to do cardio to
Yeah.
strain the heart,
Yeah.
but it's because it comes back, stronger, if you will, more effective. I never thought of intestines the same way.
I know. I hadn't either.
Yeah, let me train my intestines to have a healthier digestive system.
Right, because they're expanding and contracting, so they're using that different than if you would drink the apple juice, because they don't have to do any work. Right? So you're drinking the apple juice, you're drinking, or you're eating something,
right, goes right through
fiber,
you.
it just kind of goes right through you. But if it has to actually help digest and push that through, it's like doing little bicep curls.
That's interesting, because like for me, like I have definitely an identity around wanting to make things stronger and better, but I now have a new one to think of. Like, because it's almost like
stronger and better.
It's almost like thinking about making my bladder stronger. It's like I don't think about making my bladder stronger. I just drink water and go to the bathroom often. Sometimes I can't go to the bathroom, I have to hold it. But like, that's kind of interesting. I remember hearing somebody say recently, if your organs could talk, what would they ask for? And I thought that was kind of an interesting question. And, we have a lot of organs and intestines being one of them. That's interesting. Yeah.
And they're going to ask for fiber. They're asking for
fiber.
They
would, huh? They'd be like, yeah, give me some more of that. Yum, 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 yum.
Yeah.
Now, That's interesting. Wow. Okay, cool. I like that. I'm getting something coming out of this call. I really like this. Any other thoughts there? Is there anything else you
I mean, seriously, this is again this huge book, and there was so much in here about fiber, but those were kind of the
main
basics about that. Again, I could talk for a super long time about all the other things that were in there, but it's been a really interesting read in terms of fiber, but in terms of, he actually has 17 things in here about how not to diet. And so 17 ways of things that you can add to your, to the process, or to your, that aren't hard necessarily, so certainly fruits and vegetables. He talks about, I'm trying to think of so he talks about fruits and vegetables. He talks about, here's a one. This is not about fiber, but that I thought was really interesting, is talking about water, because water is something that we really push on this program, because that is absolutely imperative in health. But he also talked about eating high water content food.
Yes.
And that high water content food, our bodies digest that in a different way than, so the two examples, you could eat a steak and then have some water with it. So the same amount of water, or you could eat some, vegetables or fruits that are same water content, but our bodies are going to actually make us feel full longer if we eat the high water food rather than the low water food and the water. Because our bodies have to do the process of taking the water, or distilling, or sifting the water out from the food. And so, or that process makes us feel full longer.
That is just so interesting. So interesting.
I mean, and he does say drink water. I mean, he says don't just eat high water food. You also just need to drink water, right? But if you want to be full longer, try to focus on high water content food.
It's so interesting. Shannon says, what book? And Thomas answered it before we could. It says How Not to Diet by Dr. Michael McGregor. Also has an app called The Daily Dozen. Didn't know that. Very cool.
Yeah, he came up. Yeah, it was his kind of
I like it. Oh, is the Daily Dozen like those dozen things you should be doing? Oh, I like it. I love it. That's very cool. So yeah, the thing that I remember seeing a long time ago that I've used as a cornerstone for my eating is there was 6, I'm trying to remember. It was a cardiologist, I think I was listening to. I can't remember who it was. This was like 6 years ago. And I wrote down these things. He said, there's 6 categories you always want to have: fruit and fermented, greens and sprouts, omega super seeds, aromatics. So like your flavor foods. I wrote down the ones that I like. So like all of these are just my preferences. By the way, these aren't all the foods. These are just the things I eat from what he was suggesting. Again, this is...
what you should add to your aromatics? Ginger and turmeric. Those are the 2 that he those are the biggest.
That's what he really likes. Oh, no.
He also says
I hate ginger.
You can take that in capsule form so that you don't have.
Yeah, no, that's true.
It's just as good.
I have no excuse.
Just as good.
I have no excuse. So yeah, these six things, these 6 types of food to be able to get in your micronutrients. And this is what our organs would ask for, which will lead to longevity if they could talk, right? So for me, this is what I just try to get in every day. Not all of these foods, but a couple from each category. And at this point, it's just second nature. Like I have as far as fermented, I have kefir, like it's essentially drinkable yogurt with chia flax and hemp a little bit in every day. And that's like 2 categories right there, you know, banging it.
Yeah, because it feels like that's what I think too. When I look at these, like seriously, I look at these huge books and it feels like there's so much. And again, I went through the 12 and it feels like a lot, but honestly, okay, you can have 6 of them, or you can knock at least 4 of them out, like with one.
Yeah.
So it's not hard. It's just, again, as you are starting to tiny habits, right?
Yep.
So one of the things that I decided that I was going to do now is, so he has 17, so that's about 4 months worth of steps, and I'm doing a lot of them already. But I thought, I'm just going to take a week. So I want to build tiny habits. You start small. I'm not going to do all 17, even though I'm probably doing a lot of them already. But I'm going to start week by week. So by August, I will, and then I can report back. I will have gone through like all of the 17 steps on how not to diet. So because I thought, I want to do them all at the same time because we want to do it all and be perfect. But I know myself too, building those little small habits. So again, I'll report back in August, let you know.
I love it. Practicing what you preach.
Yeah. All right.
Small, slow, and steady.
Yeah.
Very good. Anything else you want to add?
I don't think so, except for seriously, if anybody, I'm like a geek about these books now. So if anybody wants to chat, feel free, like leave some comments below. Like I will definitely answer all of them, but would love to chat about them more. So
love it. Yep. All good stuff. As Coach Rachel said, comment below. We're coming back. We'll answer any questions in this group. And if you're interested in meeting with someone on our coaching team to start your own body breakthrough potentially, you can click the link somewhere and schedule that if there's availability. All right. Have a great day. Enjoy the Friday, guys. Love you all.
Yeah, Flex Friday.
Flex Friday. Leave them with a banger. Everybody.